It's a simple question. Are the Warriors title contenders? Warriors panic meter 510 doesn't even register in my eyes until after the All-Star break. Have you seen the recent standings? Warriors can finish in the top 3 still. I'm with you, 510. I'm with you on the Xfinity Mobile text line. Mark Willard, are the Warriors still title contenders? You've been up on the Warriors. You haven't panicked yet?
How do I want to answer this question?
It's a yes or no question.
The answer's yes, but that's with a nod to the conversation y'all just had with Cooperstein because he's right. So in other words, the answer's yes, ... if something changes. So the way they're playing right now, like, this is what I would say, because you asked Chuck Cooperstein, and he's just a voice of the Mavs. It's not like he's the final voice on this, but I thought he made really good points. He said, I don't see it, and he pointed to one thing, and he said it's because they don't play defense anymore. Now, we can find out why. We can have a discussion why. I heard you talk about Mike Brown is not there. GP2 is not there. Did they get older? Is it effort? Whatever it is, if the Warriors go into the playoffs like they are right now, they will be out after one round.
Damn.
Man,
what
Captain
if they played
Sunshine over here?
What if they played Memphis?
Right now?
They beat Memphis in the 7-game series. Memphis is fraud. They're fraud.
Bonte is convinced that Memphis
is they're jokers.
Bonte.
Dude, they are jokers.
Well,
You're acting like they've been all blowouts. They haven't been blowouts.
No, but they get shook. They get shook. Their problem is they get shook.
At some point, they won't.
Against the Warriors, Jerry Jackson Jr. again. He walks off the team bus with what, Dibs? With 4 fouls.
Sure. If Ja didn't get hurt last year, it would have been a different series. I do think the Warriors still win, but that was a big moment. And by the way, Dylan Brooks, can't trust him. Shout out Public Enemy.
What are you doing?
I'm afraid of facing Dylan Brooks. He might go after Clay's Achilles or Steph's shoulder.
Listen,
that dude is straight dirty.
As a
Warrior
fan, I need him on the Mavericks in the playoffs. I mean, on the Grizzlies, because that guarantees a loss for the Memphis Grizzlies. Wow. They're not winning anything with Dylan Brooks.
But guarantees a loss of one of your players. Is what it guarantees.
Maybe GP2.
Grayson Allen is watching him play, thinking, "Oh, I should try that."
Also,
more
career
aggressive.
goals.
But you know what's funny? You know what was funny during that series?
Filthy.
Is when Ja did get hurt. There's the narrative that the Grizzlies are better without Ja. They play more as a team without Ja. So I don't want to hear anything about Ja being hurt, because everybody in Memphis was pumping up, well, our record was this and that without Ja Morant. We're actually better without Ja.
Regular season. You know how it works in the NBA in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like,
Just
you need your guy. You need your guy in the playoffs. So, I hear that narrative, but
to
I
Mark's
dismiss
point
it.
about the defense and in terms of this team maybe being one and done in a series, I'm scared because of the way they don't defend. And Mark and I were just talking in the green room about why is this team bad defensively? And I look at just the basics of they play faster than anyone, number one in pace. They turn it over almost more than anybody, and you commit the most fouls. So those 3 things right there lead you to being up against it. You're behind the 8 ball based on you play fast, you give the team the ball a ton, and you can't help but foul. So now if you want to be a good defensive team, you've got to be a really good defensive team.
Dibs pulls up some of the analytics on this team, and it makes you go, damn, how are they 26 and 26?
Seriously.
Which is a nod to how unbelievable they are in terms of their offensive talent. We know that. They have so many great offensive players that they can overcome some of these analytics, and some of them we're used to. They've always turned the ball over a lot, and they're able to overwhelm that with their gifts and their talent and their approach and their passing and all of that. But now if you add in this, the defense and the fouls, you can't do it.
No.
It's
Can't
straight.
do it. Well, it's not even the fouls for me.
Can't win with this.
It's the turnovers, and it's the timing of the turnovers. In the fourth quarter against Minnesota, you turn the ball over 6 times, you don't hit a 3.
You're right, but then they've always turned it over a lot.
Yeah, but it's the timing of these turnovers this season. Last night, the Nuggets going to 16-0 run.
I heard
you
you.
Turn it over 8 times, but during that stretch, you turn it over 6 times. You only get up 4 shots. And the turn, it's not just like.
I mean, you had it perfectly earlier when you said if you don't shoot the basketball, it's very difficult to score.
I just thought of that this morning.
I pulled my car over and whipped out my pen, and I wrote that S down.
You can keep it.
Thank you, Alan. You're a giver. That's my guy, Styles.
And look,
I love Styles, dude. You know me.
And even
build them up, tear them down.
There you go. That's just life. That's just life.
Wait till he gets that contract. We'll see how Dibs streaks it in.
I will turn on you so fast. Now that he's all comfortable, I got to turn on him. I'm sorry. I wish I wasn't this mean-spirited.
As soon as he starts working into the 3 slot, this, hey, yo, chill during the crossover, homie.
I already told him he's getting to be too good. I'm starting to get nervous. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we were talking about this whole idea with just making jokes about cancel culture versus, the Warriors have turnover culture. I do think it's a real thing. Like we were talking about, they've always turned the ball over, but they could make up for it, right? They can't make up for it anymore, but they already have this culture that we play fast, we lose the ball, and Steve Kerr joking about it. Not that he thinks it's a joke, but he doesn't know what to do because they just keep turning the ball over.
There's been a decade of this, but what's new is the defense. This team has always been, just like they were 7 months ago, a top 5 defensive team. And it's the stuff that fans, none of us look at that. It's boring. It's not the fun part of the NBA. We want to watch Steph shimmy shake, but you're not winning in the playoffs if you don't play defense. And so, legitimate question right now, is this something that they can just access here in 6 weeks or not? And how did we get here? Like, why? Why is this team not defending? GP2, Mike Brown, lack of motivation. They got old overnight. What's the answer here?
GP2's one guy.
And GP2 hasn't even played much this season. So DiVincenzo, I think, is done with GP2. He's been good, and he's a better offensive player. Does a little bit more offensively. Kuminga can be your GP2. He plays a dunker role. He could guard 1 through 4, sometimes 1 through 5. You just got to let him play, and I think that's what a mistake Steve Kerr made the first 15 games of the season. Should have been playing at least 15 minutes a night, no matter what. Instead, he's racking up DNPs. That was a mistake by Steve Kerr. I don't think he's been flawless this year as head coach. Otto Porter Jr. hasn't played 9 games. I think the Warriors lucked out with Otto Porter Jr. because he's had a long list of injuries. Yeah. They were able to load manage him, not playing on back-to-backs. And remember, Otto Porter Jr. had made like 5 threes in a 3-month span. He was struggling.
But it's not what those guys are this year. It's what they were last year. And that's where, GP2 hasn't played and OPJ hasn't played. But what were they last year compared with what you have this year? And I think Jonathan Kuminga is playing his way into a real great role. He's looking great now, and whether or not he should have played more earlier, well, he didn't, and here we are now where he is. But beyond that, Steph Curry is not the same defender. Klay Thompson's not. Draymond Green is not DPOY anymore. Jordan Poole is a human turnstile, and I feel for Kevon Looney, but last night, when Jokic got him in the block,
oh my gosh!
I mean, you've got no answer.
No, you have no answer. But
not that anyone has an answer for that.
But I would.
You got to take something away from.
I would maybe pause a little bit on Draymond though, because Draymond is still playing really well defensively.
But he's not DPOY anymore, and
he's still in the conversation.
He's not even in the conversation. You got to play to be Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, and there's another thing too. When you see Vucevic drop 43 in a game, and then you see Naz Reid Thursday night go out there and look like Karl Malone 2.0.
No answer for Naz Reid.
Where's Draymond at? And I love Draymond Green. I do believe Draymond has played some really good basketball this season. But at times, he's taking the ball out the net, and that's a problem.
So go back to Game 1, NBA Finals last year. Remember what happened? Boston had that crazy, crazy fourth quarter. And I remember the discussion a lot of us had the very next day. I was willing to blow it off and just say, look, they caught a heater. They made every single shot. And you look at the way the Warriors reacted to that defensively. They locked down and won 4 of the next 5 games, and they were amazing. That feeling that we had in the fourth quarter of Game 1 last year is almost every damn night now. Yeah. And so we can't blow it off. I've heard way too many times that the other team just got hot. They're not hot. Nah. They're just not being guarded.
They're not.
They're not. And these are NBA players.
Open. If Chanchar. Have you ever heard of Chanchar before last night?
League pass. Come on. I've been watching him all year.
Chanchar jumped 17 on you last night.
Dude, you got no answer for Chanchar.
Chanchar was bombing from 3. Are you serious?
You can't let too many guys eat. And I will say even
Chanchar,
League pass, bro.
League pass, Chanchar.
Even that Grizzlies game.
Chanchar. Sorry, Styles. Go ahead.
No. I'll let you rock.
No.
I'm visiting.
Chanchar.
Look at
Otisberg the third. He watches everything. He's all over the place. He's never heard of Chanchar. Pre-game notes, I'm looking, Chanchar, it's going to start for Aaron Gordon. And he goes out there and scores 17 on you.
Never heard of him. I still haven't.
Quarter threes.
Yeah.
Chanchar legit. You need to do a little bit more homework over there, Bonte.
I do, apparently.
I got him on my fantasy basketball team.
Somebody picked him up on waivers
no
this morning.
doubt, dude, no doubt.
11th take. Go ahead. You guys got something to say, man.
All I was going to say is that I do think that Draymond hasn't lost that much defensively, but I don't know at this point in time if I'm still confident in saying, remember what we always used to say with Draymond? He can guard the 1 through 5. I don't know that I can say that anymore.
Well, and the other thing is now Clay is still a plus defender. We know he's not what he was, and there are games during the regular season he misses. When it comes to the playoffs, he'll actually be there. Last year, Andrew Wiggins became a better defensive version of himself in the playoffs. Is he going to do that again? So that's why, Bonte, when you ask me, are they title contenders?
Yeah.
I'm still going to say yes because I'm going to open my mind to the possibility that this changes.
Yep.
But we're getting to a point, like, here was one thing that struck me last night. We were all waiting for 3 o'clock and the tweet. Oh, the Warriors are sitting everybody you've ever heard of.
Yeah.
And then it never happened. And they played.
The spread went down to 7, by the way.
Right, which it tells me that the Warriors are officially a little concerned. They're like, we can't do this anymore. We need to go get some wins. And then you went out there and put your best foot forward, and it still turned into a double-digit loss.
You put half a foot forward.
Because Fitch broke the news that Draymond wasn't playing during the changeover. Like, oh, great, Draymond's out again.
And
he has a right
by the way,
cash rate.
I dispute the notion of Clay as a plus defender. Watch Clay on the ball now. His on-ball defense, he is slow.
He's
and
not
stilted.
what he used to be.
He's fouling.
He's
a
a defender. He's no longer a plus defender.
He's been a lot better lately. But, Mark, I do believe they're title contenders because I look at the West. The Dallas Mavericks are in 4th place. The Warriors are 1 game behind them in the loss column. And the Mavericks are in 4th place. So this team could flip again.
It could
get hot. But now we're waiting on them to get hot. You know about load management. You know about the back-to-backs. We're 26-26. We got 30 games left.
But
and
we
the beauty
see
of
it.
there's
We
no
see it.
back-to-backs in the playoffs.
Right, and we see it. The reason that they're still a contender is when we watch them play Memphis and Boston in the regular season, we're like, oh,
Yeah.
there you are.
Yep.
So, but can you do that for a full month and a half in the playoffs?
That's the question.
I don't know.
Well, and I look
They
at-
have
I
not
look
done
at
it
teams
I
so
know
far
it's
this
still
season.
in there. I
I
know
look
it's still
at
in there.
Denver, for example, and I try to imagine them beating Denver 4
4
out of
times?
7 times.
Not
I
right
don't
now.
see it.
Not
like
right now.
the Denver you beat last year is not this Denver.
They're
Shout out
different.
Chanchar and Murray's back and
Bruce
Denver's
Brown's a good-
dude.
hey.
Denver's a different Denver. So
Bruce Brown's legit.
Then again, who gets hurt going into the playoffs? It's a story every year.
and
I don't know who these
might
teams
they
are
be
going
able
to
to
be.
avoid if
Exactly.
things break their way and the rest of it.
I still believe, though, Denver, they don't play enough defense to be. Yeah, sure, they're title contenders because their record. They're 24-4 at home, but they don't play enough defense. The Warriors were humming. Now, again, the Warriors have to play some defense. You hit 13 threes in the first half, you shouldn't be down 1 at the half. Shooting 54%,
Yeah.
55% from the floor.
It's funny. In the West, it's hard to imagine any Western Conference team right now winning the whole thing.
No.
Honestly, if you
No.
ask me, like, who can you visualize actually turning this all the way to the end? It's Boston and Milwaukee, and I don't like. I
Philadelphia, maybe?
I immediately get a stop in my brain on any other team.
Yeah.
Other than those two, but someone's going to develop. Someone's going to have the right health at the right time and the right vibe and all of that, which is exactly what the Warriors did last year. We would sit here on February 3rd last year, and you couldn't conceptualize the Warriors winning it all.
But
They were hurt.
They
Draymond was
were
out.
But
Like
you had something to
remember?
go back to the beginning of the season.
Right.
We have nothing this year.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point.
We have absolutely nothing. The Warriors want to get to the playoffs so bad because they have this ability to level up that I don't know that other teams have, right? The Warriors, they've been the ones doing it. A guy like Andrew Wiggins, who, yes, he's coming back from injury. He was sick, a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
He's not where he was. But he's a guy to me that even though he was an all-star last season, he's built for the playoffs. GP2, built for the playoffs. This team is built for the playoffs, but I still don't think you can get in as a play-in and pull it off.
No,
I don't.
no. And they're going to have to find a different defensive level than we've seen all year. I mean, and they're going to have to be that every night.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's Matisse Thybulle. Maybe it's him for Philadelphia. I don't know why Philly
and
would
that
trade
is
him.
interesting, too. Like, when Bob Myers said on these airwaves the other day, when they're like, do you want to trade or do you need a trade? And he's like, both.
Yeah.
that makes me think they're burning up the phones.
Yeah, I think Wiseman and Moody could be on the way out. Because, one, nobody looks for Wiseman. He's wide open in the post, and Ty Jerome's like, nah, I'm going to pull up from 3.
Yeah, it's time for these buckets.
Would that even bother you at this point? Like, how long would it take you to get over the emotional disappointment of Wiseman and Moody being out the door?
I'll say this.
A long time.
I'd say
when
a long
name
time.
drop me, Spinodi. I was talking to a scout the other day to go to State Warriors.
You can't name drop unless you actually name the scout.
Nah, I can't.
Then you don't get up. Whoop.
He's going to lose his source. He's going to lose his
talking to
source.
somebody who's a somebody, and they said, Wiseman's going to be he's a gifted offensive player. He can do a lot of things. He can do things you can't teach him, but it just may not fit here. For what the Warriors look for in their bigs, he's not that guy.
Well, the way they play offense with a lot of movement and a lot of passing and cutting, James Wiseman doesn't set good screens.
Nope.
He doesn't have any offensive package to where you can throw him the ball and say, go get us a bucket. So he's just a big, and by the way, not as athletic as I thought. I saw him last night where he got the one pass by the rim. He lightweight struggled to get up there and dunk that ball down before he got fouled.
He hadn't played since December 29th, and it's like, go out there and run into altitude against the Denver Nuggets and go ahead and burn your lugs up.
9 minutes.
Poor Wiseman, dude.
Come on.
So that conversation, that was your point, or that was the scout's point?
Scott's point.
So that's good. So if you're telling me that the rest of the league still thinks maybe there's something there in a different setting, that's a good sign.
And I believe there's something there. I think he's a gifted offensive player.
Well, he's still the number 2 overall pick, and he still hasn't consistently played. And so whenever that's the case, everybody's going to a certain degree. Like I was reading an article yesterday. It was an Indianapolis Colts mailbag, and they got their eyes on Trey Lance. Mm-hmm. They're like, hey, by the way, I'm like Googling Trey Lance to see what the nation is saying about him.
So we're trading Trey Lance.
But they would like to, because they're like, that's the way, that's a window into what the rest of the league and rest of the world thinks about someone is when you haven't seen him play. You just go back to your draft profile.
Right. You haven't lost any value.
Right.
Exactly.
We liked that guy then, and we still think maybe we could access that, and we haven't really seen 100 different reasons why that's not there.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Niners are trading Trey Lance. That's not what I'm saying. But my point is, maybe there's some teams out there that still want to go back to their draft profile of James Wiseman, and they would be intrigued.
Right. When earlier in the show we talked about, or at least I talked about how I didn't think the Trey Lance pick ever made sense, right? Just based on what we've seen Kyle Shanahan's offense to be, how it looks with Brock Purdy. We know what Trey Lance's ceiling is, but it's about fit. James Wiseman, that pick made sense traditionally. You got to get your big. You got to get your big. But if you think about the Warriors' actual structure, it didn't make sense. And if they do move off of Wiseman, everybody that's been calling in these last couple of years talking about LaMelo, I will give you your time. I will give you your time because the pick, dad or no dad, it made more sense.
Yeah, I don't believe that LaMelo made sense because
it
now
made more sense than Wiseman.
Yeah, but he loves the ball in his hands. Can he play in the read and react system? Does he play any defense? And what happens with Jordan Poole if LaMelo Ball is here?
think I'm gonna tell you right now what happens. Okay, Jordan Poole takes the helm. The same way. We all know how hard he works. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, the Splash Bros, they make their way into the sunset eventually. Jordan Poole, LaMelo Ball take over from the Splash Bros to the Dash Bros.
You think LaMelo Ball's coming off the bench?
I'm telling you.
LaMelo Ball would not come off no bench. LaVar Ball would have been chirping, and he's not a winning player.
There you go.
You can't say that yet. You can't say that yet.
Watch him in the playing game when they lose by 40.
LaMelo Ball is Steve Francis and John Wall and Russell Westbrook and everybody before him that people go, this is really fun for fantasy basketball. My man can score 25 a game and it'd probably never be on a good team in his life.
No, MJ's holding him back.
How many James Wiseman All-Star appearances do we see if he gets traded? Or if he stays?
None.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So, I mean, how many seasons where he averages a double-double do we see for James Wiseman?
I don't know about that. That I don't know, but I mean, look, this isn't the LaMelo thing. That's not about Wiseman versus LaMelo. It's just about whether
I'm going to give them their time.
I'm
going to give the
Tyrese Halliburton would have been the better fit.
I agree with that too.
And he went like 15, 16.
Styles. The other side of it, there's no two way. Like this could end up going down as one of the worst days in Warrior basketball history. Klay Thompson tears an Achilles and James Wiseman gets drafted. There's no doubt that could go down.
Well, I mean, you can look at the history of Warriors draft picks, and this just goes alongside your various Patrick O'Briens, your Ike Diagus, and some of the other ones that they've Todd Fuller, they've absolutely swung and missed on.
I do think that when they drafted Wiseman, the coaching staff and the front office missed because you already had championships, so you don't want to change everything. But hey, in order to develop this guy, we have to maybe change our offense a bit to fit a big, and they just never did that. That's why Ty Jerome is not looking for James Wiseman, because that's not what he's taught to do.
Well, the guy's wide open in the paint.
But I do think
get a bucket. They're getting ran out the gym in the
if
third
Steve Kerr
quarter.
if Steve Kerr saying, hey, let's work on these Wiseman sets. No.
I doubt Steve Kerr wants Ty Jerome to pull up from three when Wiseman's wide open 3 feet out, or Christian Braun's guarding him, and it's like, yo, give it to the big, let him go to work. Let him go to work. And you think about what the Warriors have done. They have drafted bigs in the first round, albeit late in the first round. Damian Jones. You got Festus Ezeli. You have Kevon Looney in the first round. I just think they missed because he's not the type of player that they envisioned as a big, which is setting screens, passing out of doubles, finding cutting guys to the basket. Wiseman's just not that player. He's a different big.
You drafted what was supposed to be a cornerstone center to an offense that doesn't have a cornerstone center.
Right. Again, they missed.
A lot of teams don't have a cornerstone center, though, and you go out and succeed just fine in the NBA. Before you guys run, we'd love your perspective on one other thing. I don't know if you guys saw the article that Ann Killian wrote in the San Francisco Chronicle, essentially saying that the question that was asked of Kyle Shanahan the other day about Jimmy Garoppolo, that his response was dismissive and disrespectful. Not because it's not time for Jimmy to move on. How do you guys feel like Kyle should have or missed the boat to take that opportunity to go ahead and answer, no, I don't see that scenario, but then stop and say a bunch of nice things about Jimmy Garoppolo?
No. You because that's Kyle. That's who Kyle is, right? And so at least he's on brand. That's what I say. And give him his flowers. We've given Jimmy his flowers about 10 different times, and that's not. There could be when he's actually gone, Kyle might still do that. So to me, that's just fishing. And I've been hard on Kyle lately.
Yeah, I've been hard on Kyle throughout his tenure as the coach of the 49ers, but I realize he is the coach of the Niners, and he's a damn good coach, and you shouldn't do anything with him. As far as the Jimmy stuff and what he said the other day, we can't have it both ways. Last year, we were like, when they were saying, we don't want to leave Jimmy, we don't want to trade him, he's a really good player, and it was obvious that they wanted to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo, and we all raised our arms, and we all raised hell saying, Kyle, you're lying, just tell us the real. So then he tells us the real the other day, and people are still flying off the handle saying, oh, Kyle, you're too mean to Jimmy G. Hey, there's no scenario in which he's coming back. Let's put that to bed. Let's move on.
And until Jimmy G comes out and says, oh, geez, I want to stay for next year, but Kyle won't let me, then maybe you can come down Kyle's road, because we haven't heard a word from Jimmy. All we've seen from Jimmy is him laughing on the sideline as their season goes up in smoke.
He doesn't want to come back either. No. I don't think that's the point.
That's the biggest point.
By the way, real quick, I'm with you guys. Completely. Yeah. But I think the question is not, are you supposed to say we'd love to have him stay? It was more, should he have taken the opportunity to say, no, the door is officially closed. And, by the way, he has now given us an ACL and a foot and an ankle, and he gave us a winning streak that helped us get to a point that we were in this year. And we
also gave him $100+ million.
Right.
Listen, I'm with you.
125, I think.
Right. I'm with you, but
so it works both ways.
And that moment was not the time for him to wax poetic about.
That's what I'm saying. If it was in the question,
Kyle was still raw and angry.
Right. If it was in the question and Kyle just decided to not even address that part of the question, then that would be
the bags under his eyes. He had great and shaved.
I love the things we compliment in life, and then when we get them, we rip them, right? It's like, we would love for you to be more expressive and open, and then someone's honest with you, and you're like, damn, dude, calm down. Like, coming a little hot at me. Right. Here's Kyle, straight shot. Right. Like, fair, honest, straight shot.
Direct, yeah.
Wait a minute. You didn't stop to play a violin for a guy that you've complimented. I mean, how many weeks ago was it that Kyle was like, you guys, Jimmy is one of the greatest throwers of the football on the planet, which some people are like, excuse me? And then, of course, you could look at it factually and be like, okay, he's in the NFL. Sure, he's one of the 30 best throwers of the football on the planet.
Argument, yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. Like, that was a straight shot. It was honest. It was fair. It was in a moment where they're still totally mourning. He used the word mourning. We need to mourn this. We lost. And you're talking about someone who is not available to the team now and will not be on the team next year. You want to take 5 minutes of the presser and have it go a different direction?
He's got Jimmy paid. He's got Jimmy paid. Jimmy's going to get paid again this offseason. Yeah. Jimmy's rocking Jordans every freaking game. He was rocking the Jays in Philadelphia in the rain. Jimmy's fine. He doesn't owe Jimmy a damn thing.
Too. I mean,
and he got Kyle paid too. No doubt it works both ways.
Exactly.
It definitely works both ways. But Shanahan didn't know Jimmy. We're writing articles about how he disrespected Garoppolo. Like, really?
Agreed. And in that moment, you're 2 days removed from the kind of a loss where if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I don't even want to talk about it for probably weeks or months on end.
And look, he came to the damn presser.
Exactly.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't look like he wanted to talk about it. I mean,
angry Kyle.
They look absolutely sick to themselves. And, when he answered the Trent Williams question the other day when he was like, I think that Trent indicating he's not 100% sure if he's going to come back is really just the frustration of the moment. Like, I don't know. I think that we as fans, sure, we're all still totally bummed about the way this went down, but we get up and go to work Monday morning in a way that they don't. Like, they're not going to be over this for a while.
For a long time.
The blood, sweat, and tears that goes into getting all the way back to the NFC title game again, and then to have the feeling like you didn't get a fair shot when you got there.
Of it, Mark. When you get there,
brutal.
It's one thing to lose that
so
game.
Brutal.
You lose to the Rams, fine. You blew a 10-point lead, whatever. They beat you late in the game, fine. That was a football game, 4 quarters. To lose like this, where you know full well, and you are captain laminated play sheet. The one thing you love as much as your children and your wife, and I'm saying this as Kyle Shanahan right now, you love your laminated play sheet. Yet you get in that moment, and now I get to call all these plays in the biggest game, and all you can call is runs and screens. For Kyle Shanahan, think about how frustrating that would be.
And last year, Jimmy started to cut in out. And last year, Jimmy's with the thumb injury in the shoulder. Who knows what he could call last year in the NFC title game? And you got to play conservative because the quarterback can't make a throw on the third play of the game.
But at least you could pretend like, hey, maybe we can throw a pass. In this one, it was literally like, and you see Brock Purdy come back on the field. It's like, oh my God. It's only runs. What a joke.
I wonder if it would have been better if the media had an opportunity to ask the same question to Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy, do you see any scenario where you're back with the 49ers?
Yeah.
He'd have given you the exact same answer.
Oh, at this point, I think it's all.
He'd be like, no, I don't.
I think it's all done.
Thank you.
When you
already gave us that answer.
Exactly.
Liar.
After the Niners lost, I put out on my Twitter, and the Bengals lost, I put out on my Twitter, I said, I said, which loss would you
Twitter handle,
prefer?
Alan? Might as well give us a Twitter handle.
Sense.
Give us a Twitter handle.
At the _ Styles Files.
There you
Styles
go.
with an I, by the way.
You got to go all in with the flex.
So,
No, it's fantastic. I actually wanted to name my first child Styles.
You got a name, man. You got a name.
All right.
You should be a linebacker in the
We
NFL,
named our
man.
son Quest.
Alan
but
Styles.
we were
Damn.
you're about to have a baby, and I'm sure you guys have names. I'm sure you've got a list. I don't know if you have the actual answer yet.
Yeah.
He does. He's not going to reveal
No,
it.
never
No
reveal
reveal.
it.
Never.
But we were going back and forth, and I said, "What about the name Styles? Styles Dibley."
No, you
and my
didn't.
dude, I swear to God, my ex-wife looks at me and she goes, "Dude, put down the bong, bro. We're not." So we named him Quest instead.
There you go.
Yeah,
There
anyway,
you go.
you were
There you
saying.
go. All I was gonna say, this happens on every crossover, by the way.
No, Styles trying to talk.
Dude, let Styles eat.
The Bengals lost the way they lost versus the Niners lost. I asked fans, what would you prefer? That's
a good question.
And
On his Twitter.
yes, and a lot of people said, you know what? At least with the Niners, we know we didn't get a fair shake. Bengals, it was 1-2 plays, and you got to live with that. I wonder what would be worse as a coach versus a fan.
I would much
This
rather.
one way worse.
I would rather take the Bengals loss than
Exactly.
the 49ers loss every day of the week, especially as a fan. Like, because
Even though on that
I was
one
bored
play,
in the second half. Like,
you had your one player make one mental mistake, and that ultimately is what prevented you from going to overtime.
frustrating.
You had,
Frustrating.
there's other things you can say. We could have done this better, that better. Niners, what could we have done better?
Yeah.
Right,
I mean,
right.
the 49ers have a 4-year run where you had a 10-point lead in the Super Bowl fourth quarter go away. you had a 10-point second half lead in the NFC title game go away, and you had an NFC title game where you didn't even have a quarterback. That is one hell of a
2 quarterbacks.
frustrating run.
Yeah.
That is.
And by the way, Jimmy said it'd be real last year. Remember Jimmy's presser after Shanahan and Lynch talked about Jimmy, hey, man, we don't want to trade this guy, blah, 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 blah. And Jimmy was like, peace out, Niner fans. It's been real. What was the line he used? He basically was like, deuces.
Yeah.
So like Kyle Baxter said in my ear, how do we know if Jimmy didn't tell Kyle, hey, screw off, dude. I'm out.
No, for
Or
sure.
John Yee.
For sure he
think-
told him that.
No, I don't
Absolutely.
think. Wait, you think there's hard feelings?
No, there's no hard
Yeah,
feelings,
yeah.
but I'm sure he told Kyle, like, don't even think about, like, trying to re-sign me. I'm out of here.
say that.
All right, man. The San Francisco
That's why I'm outta
Gift
here.
and Jewelry Center. You know, when
KD.
you ask your partner, Dibs, what's wrong? And they say nothing. The Valentine's Day gift you got last year is what's
Done
wrong.
buying diamonds, bro.
Whew. With 75 showrooms in one location this Valentine's Day, let the San Francisco Gift and Jewelry Center help you right some wrongs. Visit 888 Brannan Street or shop online at sfgcm.com.
Rumor has it you're up on the diamond purchase.
You lying.